Wowee, ladies and gentlemen. Raised by Wolves Season 2 finale. This was episode 8. This is going to be my review, thoughts, theories, discussion. All spoilers, of course. Wow. Where do you go from here? Wow. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think first and foremost, probably best to address just how balls to the wall it was, but also how disappointed I am that there's only 8 episodes this season. And there may have been 8 episodes last season. It doesn't feel like it's been going long enough. 2 months, 8 weeks, 8 episodes. Very disappointing, I'm not going to lie. I want more of this, and there's a testament to how the universe and world has been drawing me in. Season 1, I wasn't entirely convinced. Season 2, yeah, I'm all in. I'm balls deep, as it were. I'm all in. I absolutely adore this show. It's the best sci-fi show on TV, categorically, and has been actually for quite some time if you look at the offerings of sci-fi. So what happened in this episode? Well, Mother gets the veil transplanted. And the big twist and turn is, of course, that Grandmother is not what she appears. Not what she appears at all. In fact, yes, she did trick Mother. And in fact, yes, somehow, some way, Grandmother is the reason why all of the other humans have devolved on the planet. Grandmother is the very reason that by the end of the episode, all the children, all the humans are going to be devolving and going into the ocean. It's her plan. It's a way that she can ensure their survival, because once they've devolved, apparently the entity will go to sleep. Now, I think props to Grandmother, the actress behind Grandmother. She did a stand-up job. Really, really good, in fact. From the moment they removed the veil, I think whoever cast this actress did a really good job. Very striking eyes. I mean, she may be wearing contact lenses, I don't know. But overall, the facial features are very striking. And if you look at each actor that portrays an android, they chose very, very well. And the reason why I'm saying Grandmother was chosen really well is because it's in keeping with the others as well. Very striking appearance. When she smiles, quite an open face, warm, welcoming. But the moment the smile goes away, there's a sense of dread and foreboding. It takes a lot to emote that much. So I think, yeah, props to whoever cast this individual, because they did really, really well. Now, obviously, that's quite a big twist and turn for this episode. The fact that Grandmother is indeed evil. Planned it all along. Now, the reason why the veil was removed is because the veil can then subdue Mother's powers as well. Not only her emotions, but it will subdue her powers, which is what happens by the end of the episode. Mother chooses to put the veil on, as was agreed. She goes off, she murders the serpent. Kills the serpent. Campion gets annoyed with her, obviously, thus, revealing to Lamia, Mother, that he does indeed know that the serpent was her child. Then after, post-serpent's death, Father comes up to her and says, "Are you going to take it off?" "No, I'm not. I'm going to leave it on, because the cascade of emotions would be too much to deal with, and I'm best served with the veil on for now." Now, the veil, by the end of the episode, begins to consume, literally consume, Lamia, encasing her like a cocoon. So much so that then by the end of the episode, Grandmother has chucked her in one of the sleeping pods and is running a simulation to keep her locked in so she doesn't communicate to anyone. That's when, Mother reveals to Grandmother that she is aware that Grandmother is devolving her children. And then subsequently what I said previously is then revealed to Lamia. Fascinating turn of events. Genuinely, really, really fascinating. Now, the method by which Grandmother is doing this seems to be a game. Like a hollow game. somehow devolving the humans. I don't know how, not overly sure, but it seems to be via a game. The religious undertones are there again, of course, because Grandmother gives these hollow games to the trade atheist, the atheist that keeps trading for goods between all the humans, and in doing so, the previous trader to that woman had given in trade for a coat Lamia the god, Lamia the serpent killer. And it's fascinating, isn't it, how you can create gods of anything. I thought that was quite interesting. And the Grandmother obviously gives us a pretty damning speech that, you know, even atheists will create something to worship, but those prayers will go unanswered, which is obviously quite a foreboding statement. Father is none the wiser. Campion, everyone else is none the wiser. The two other major events that happened here is that the baby, Tempest's baby, was actually being changed by the milk of that sea creature, the sea beast, the evolved human, which I thought was quite interesting. Bit of a surprise that they went that route. I didn't think that they would. In fact, I did a stream last night where someone commented that, and I did say I don't think that would work in the logic of the universe, but they're just throwing it out there anyway, so whatever. I didn't like that, I'm not going to lie. That was my only major downside to this whole episode. I just don't think there's a mechanism by which that works, even in universe, personally. And I know you could say, well, people get turned into trees. Yeah, nanobots and stuff. Unless there's nanobots in the milk. I don't know, I don't see it. But never mind. Outside of that, Marcus is still trying to get to the entity for some bizarre reason, even though it's no longer speaking to him. I don't know why, but yes, he is indeed trying to go and get to the entity. Maybe he's trying to kill it because of Sue obviously being turned into a giant tree. Now, when the serpent died, the tree came back out of it. Paul reveals to Marcus he believes the tree is a way to bypass the fact that the entity can't signal this side of the planet. Apparently that connects into the ground and can magnify the entity's signal so it can communicate. Anyway, Marcus is strung up, upside down against the tree by one of the Mithraic that was promised to kill him. And by the end of the episode, Marcus isn't dead. He's floating upside down in the sky, dropping blood all over the Mithraic. Interesting turn of events. Not overly sure why, not overly sure what that means for Marcus moving forwards. Has he got powers? Has he not? Why is he floating? Because he seemed to be dead momentarily before that. A bit confused. Oh my god, what a weird episode. But that's it, that's the end of Season 2. What does this all mean? Well, I have no idea. Your guess is as good as mine. What's my thoughts and theories on this, though? Well, Lamia's now back in a simulation. The simulation was what allowed her to come into contact with the entity previously. It's what allowed the entity to impregnate her somehow. But she's back in one now. She wasn't going to go into a simulation before that. But the entity now can communicate on this side of the planet. So, it's my belief that in Season 3, Lamia will come into contact with the entity again. That's where some of the explanations will occur. Probably, I would imagine so. Now, Grandmother did say something interesting, was that we shouldn't eat the creatures because bad things happen or something along those lines. But they've already eaten the creatures. But that would make sense as to why the baby is getting mutations. Maybe it's not from the milk. Maybe it's from Tempest consuming one of the creatures. Who knows? Not overly sure on that. A bit confusing. Now, Grandmother is a bit of a wild card here. She was built by the technocrats. Technically atheists, I guess, to a certain degree. But it was the Mithraic that built the necromancers in the war. Now, whether the technocrats are a more obsolete version of the Mithraic, maybe. It's a bit of a difficult one to sort of, deal with and sort of theorize here. Whether the technocrats, through thousands of years, developed into the Mithraic, maybe they believed their own BS. Technocrats doesn't really sound like religious zealots, does it? It sounds like people that believe in technology over anything else. But maybe. But then who's the entity? Because the entity seems to be more technologically based than anything else. But the entity is in the center of the planet, by the looks of it. Or at the very least underground for the most part. So that'll be interesting to see where that goes. The serpent now dead. The tree came back out, the serpent. What does that mean? I'm assuming just that the serpent is legitimately now just dead. Lamia ripped out its brain and said, what a shame. It was obviously quite intelligent. Which is quite a shame, actually. And it was quite sad. The serpent went to suck, milk out of Lamia again. But couldn't, because obviously Lamia had her teats all blocked up. So it is a shame, really. Because what would have happened if that could have occurred? Maybe Lamia being a correct mother to the serpent, it may not have been weaponized by the entity. It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one. But there you have it, ladies and gents. Great episode. Thoughts and theories? Your guess is as good as mine. Let me know down below. If you're new here, please do hit subscribe. Love to have you here more often. Give the video a like and a share. Cheers, guys. Take care.